Will there actually be felony charges against Joe Biden? And what are the odds that the guy is actually fully impeached? Honestly, I think that's just some sort of fantasy that a lot of us have. I think it's much more likely that Congress is going to find him to be a well-meaning old man with a poor memory. And I think they're going to hold him to the new federal standard that if you don't remember your crimes, then they didn't really happen. And so obviously there's very little chance that anyone in a position of power is ever going to hold a Democrat accountable, especially a Joe Biden. They are never, ever going to hold them to the same standard that you or I will be held to. But I do think that there's a good case against Joe for the things that are contained within the H.E.R report. I think they can use that as impeachment material because after all, Special Counsel H.E.R, he did find that crimes occurred, hundreds and hundreds of crimes, pages and pages of crimes. He says that they occurred, they just declined to prosecute. Not a lot of people have brought that up, and not a lot of people really care, but not a lot of people are Mark Levin. Have a look at this.
Well, they get paid a lot of money for being stupid, don't they?
Yes.
Oh, they're very frightened. They're very concerned. The Supreme Court of the United States. They trash the Supreme Court. They're trashing the Constitution. They're trashing the office of the presidency. These prosecutors have cut due process corners. They're pushing to get these cases done before the election while they claim there's no election interference. And they're worried that Donald Trump might actually get his day in court. Well, let me tell you something, Brian. You know what this is? Of course you don't, but this is very, very big. You know what this is? This is the Special Counsel H.E.R report. H.E.R on Joe Biden. Exhibit after exhibit after exhibit of Joe Biden's felonies. Felonies under the Espionage Act when he was vice president, when he was a private citizen, and when he was a senator. So let me tell these knuckleheads something. If Donald Trump loses this post-presidential immunity case, you know what the next administration can do, including his? Take the cover off this report, put an indictment cover on it, and indict Joe Biden, because they're not required to adhere to what Mr. H.E.R or what Mr. Garland have to say.
It's absolutely true, man. And I've said that on this channel before. The fact that the special counsel admits that there are crimes, but that he declines to recommend charges, that does not mean that 1,000 other prosecutors can't review his work in some other administration, some other time, and come to an entirely different conclusion. And like I've said before, I really, really do find it hard to believe that our system can work when one single guy, one prosecutor gets to decide whether someone stays or goes, whether someone is free or accountable. That is amazing to me. Now, obviously his boss could overrule him at any time, but that won't happen. So I think it's important that Congress at least gets her in and gets the man on the record, given a clear and full explanation of everything, his whole process, and why he did or did not charge this or that.
The evidence against Joe Biden in the Espionage Act, there's scores of examples of his committing felonies. And the only reason they didn't bring the case, they said, is because he's an imbecile. That was the bottom line. But there's enough probable cause in this document to bring hundreds of charges against Joe Biden, depending on the statute of limitations. So they better hope that Donald Trump wins, these knuckleheads on these other networks. Because if he doesn't, it's Joe Biden's day in court. That's number one. Number two, the Supreme Court justices ought not be pressured like this, and they need to understand something. This rogue prosecutor, Jack Smith, who's unconstitutionally appointed in violation of the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, this guy, he didn't charge Trump with insurrection. He didn't charge Trump with sedition, conspiracy, sedition, violence, none of it. He went digging, and he finds the 1871 Klan Act. He finds the Enron Act on obstruction, which was abused against many of the J6ers. He uses a federal contractor statute. Those are the statutes he uses, and he's telling the court, I should be able to indict Donald Trump for his official actions as president of the United States, not for any real crime, but I got to go back to the post-Civil War Klan Act. I've got to go to the Enron Act. I've got to go to the Federal Contractors Act because I want to put him in prison with an Obama-appointed judge, with a jury that's going to be appointed from a population that supports Biden and hates Trump. So is the court really going to turn the power of the presidency and immunity inside out? I love these legal analysts. What do they say? This is too broad. This is a case of first impression. No president has ever been charged with a crime, let alone this mishegas, after he's left office. All this talk about January 6th and overthrowing the government. Well, why don't they charge him with that? They haven't. And so the bottom line is, when you read the indictments, when you see the arguments that are being made, the court should say, no, we're not going to destroy all these years of American history in order to accommodate Joe Biden, his campaign, and his prosecutor. So Mark, that's my answer to that.
I'm pretty proud of myself. You usually read everything, and I think to myself, I should have read everything.
As always, man, the dude is spot on, man. And it's funny, when I watch these things, I always imagine what it must be like to watch as just an average liberal or leftist or, victim of propaganda. Because these people, sadly, they have no idea what Trump has actually been charged with by Jack Smith. Most of them believe, because the propagandists have led them to believe, that not only did an insurrection actually take place, but Donald Trump was the mastermind and director of it all. They fully believe this. They believe this to their bones. And because they believe that, they believe that he was actually charged with insurrection, because why wouldn't they believe that, right? But he's not. And just to give the simple version, he's charged with questioning votes that the government can charge him with under a reimagined Reconstruction-era law. He can be charged with questioning them because the government believes that they can prove that he didn't actually believe anything that he said. And the people that are happy to watch all this unfold, they have no idea, and they really, really don't care that in order to charge the guy, the government is disregarding his First Amendment protections, the same ones that protect you and me, and they're literally claiming that they can read his mind. And just think about that. They can't read the Constitution, but they can read your mind. That's essentially what he's charged with. He's charged with that, and also obstructing a congressional proceeding, because again, his speech allegedly controlled the crowd. And of course, the most damning part of that was when he said, go and be heard peacefully. But, the average propaganda victim, they have no idea of any of this. They don't care about any of it. They don't care what he's charged with. They're just happy that he's charged. And they can't even tell you why. Ask 100 different Orange Man bad believers, and you'll get 500 different answers as to why they want to watch the man die in prison. Remarkable stuff, frightening stuff. I mean, just honestly depressing stuff when you think about the state of things. But this will all be fun to watch. We'll see what happens, but that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.